You ever feel like the only way to make real progress is to do it all yourself? That no one's as committed as you, that no one moves as fast as you do, that no one holds the standards like you do. So, what do? Well, you take on all the load, you grind harder, you isolate yourself. But here's the truth that most high achievers just won't admit. And that is that self reliance without connection becomes self destruction. And we think we're being strong by carrying the weight alone, but it's actually what's killing our real growth. And in today's episode, we're going to break that myth wide open. So if you ever felt like letting others in will slow you down, well, then this episode is going to change everything for you. So stick around. All right, welcome back or welcome to the High Performance Human Podcast. I'm so grateful for you to give me some of your time and to share with you about my story of believing that I had to do everything alone. Because you see, in the early days of my real estate journey, I believed that I had to do it all myself. I had to use my own capital. I had to find the deals. I had to run the numbers. I had to handle all the problems. And you know what? It worked until it didn't. And that was when I ran out of money. And instead of solving the real issue that I needed to get more capital, I defaulted to my comfort zone, which was doing more. So I jumped into wholesaling and it was a grind. And it was a grind that I literally hated. But I told myself, this is the path. Do it alone. Figure it out. And why? Well, because that's what high achievers are taught. We're taught if you're in control, then you'll succeed. And letting go felt like I was losing. And I started to view people not as partners, but I saw them more as obstacles. And that mindset, my friend, is what kept me stuck. It wasn't until I finally brought on a partner, someone with strengths in the areas that I avoided, that I saw real growth. It's systems that got built, it's my time that got freed up. And that's when the business was finally able to scale. And what I thought was weakness actually became my biggest advantage. And here's what I've learned from coaching tons of other high performers, that most lone wolf behavior that they have and I have is it doesn't come from ego alone. It actually comes from experience. Because somewhere along the way, you learned if you want it done right, do it yourself. And depending on others just sets you up for disappointment. And one of the strongest beliefs that a lot of high achievers have is that strength means you do it alone. And to be fair, those beliefs probably helped you get where you're at. They helped you survive. They helped you rise. But the problem is they will not help you continue to grow because going it alone isn't just about control. It's actually about protection. And what we're really trying to do is we're trying to protect ourselves from being let down. We're trying to protect ourselves from appearing weak. We're protecting ourselves from having to slow down and trust someone else. And here's the truth, if you never let anyone in, you'll never get out of your own way because isolation tends to feel safe. But over time, it actually will become a prison. And when things get heavy, you won't ask for help. You'll just keep grinding until you sink and eventually you'll burn out. So hear me when I say, that's not strength. That's self sabotage disguised as productivity. So you might be thinking, okay, how do I shift this? And for me, the thing that finally shifted is when I finally realized something critical, that my habit of doing everything alone wasn't actually discipline. It was really fear dressed up like drive, because I'd built an identity around being the guy who always figures it out. But that identity, it was coming with a cost. It was coming with overwhelm. It was coming with burnout. It was coming with constant ceiling hitting. And the truth that I didn't want to face is I was the bottleneck. But when I finally allowed support to come in, like Fernanda encouraging me to take in a leap, a partner helping me with my back end of my operations, I didn't lose momentum. I actually multiplied it. And I didn't lose control. I gained clarity. Because you see, letting people in doesn't slow you down, it will eventually set you free. So let's talk about how you actually start shifting this lone wolf mentality that you might have. Because I'm not here just to say, hey, you should let people help you, because I think we can all agree that we need that. It's pretty obvious. But the real question is, where and how do we do it? So let's start by looking at your life right now. Let's look at your business, look at your calendar, look at your home. Where are you still holding the bag? Where are you doing things simply because you've always done them that way, or because you don't trust anyone else to get it right? And if it's the latter, maybe you need to be honest with yourself and be honest that this is actually ego. And don't get me wrong, I get it, because for a long time I wore that same badge, that no one can do it like I can. But here's the truth that I had to face. Just because you can carry the weight doesn't mean that you should. And once you spotted those places where you're actually over functioning, here's the next mindset shift that you can make. You need to redefine what strength actually is to you. Because strength isn't just about gritting your teeth and muscling through every single problem that comes your way. Strength is knowing what is actually yours to carry and what is not. It's having the courage to let go of the stuff that's not in your zone of genius so you can show up fully for the stuff that actually is. And hear me when I say delegation is not a weakness. You'll find out that it's actually really hard to do, and it can become a strategy. So you're not scaling if you're actually micromanaging every single piece of the puzzle. So after you get that, let's talk about the people, because I'm not telling you to build this huge team or start calling strangers out of nowhere for advice. But you do need a core. Your core is a few key people who can see what you can't see, who push you, who challenge you, who hold you when your energy dips or your fire starts to flicker. Remember, you don't need a crowd, you just need a core. Think 3 to 5 people. And once you have your core, you're ready for the last shift. And this might be the most important. And that's stop trying to prove yourself and start leveraging the room. Now, this is huge because so many high achievers stay stuck because they're still in the mode that I'll prove I can do it all alone. But let me ask you something. What if you didn't have to actually prove anything? What if the real flex was being smart enough to build with others, to create something bigger than what you could actually build all alone? This is how you go from grinding to scaling, from solo survival to actual momentum in your life and in your business. So here's your challenge for this week with all this information. And if you need to, take a moment to journal on this. Ask yourself this prompt: where am I making life harder by going it alone? And another one is, what would collaboration unlock for me right now? Then, after you take some time to journal on that, come up with some ideas, take one action step. Maybe it's asking for support. Maybe it's delegating one task that you've been hoarding to yourself because you swear that you're the only one on this earth that is capable of doing it. Or maybe you want to invite someone into your world who brings the strength that you actually lack. Because the truth is, your next level isn't in doing more alone, it's in letting the right people in. And if you want help figuring this out, DM me on Instagram at Creighton_Bertrand and tell me where you're